What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another Saturday morning, afternoon. Are you serious, me? Are you serious? How many of these have we done? And you know what? Hold on. Let me. There. Next time, I'll remember these things, and we'll say Saturday afternoon instead of Saturday morning. Nah, but for real, welcome back to the channel. And today I have a retro game for you that is very near and dear to my heart. It is called Dino Riki. Now, I know it as Dino Riki, and those who know me personally will probably know why this game is near and dear to my heart. Mainly because I had what you would call a supernatural experience that not necessarily revolving around this game, but this game came as a result of it. Yes, when I was younger, actually, you know what? I'll get into it when we get into as we play the game. How about I do that? You know, while we're playing the game, you'll get a little story time from me. You know? But yeah, let's jump into it. Alright, so when I was a kid, I woke up on a regular morning, you know, I ate my cereal with my brothers and sisters, and I had planned to go out with my older brother and his friend. We were going to play video games at his house. He lives right up the street. And my mom came into the kitchen that morning, and she told me, be careful when you go out there to play today. This was during the summer. It wasn't during the school time. We were out for the summer. And she told me, be careful when you're going out there to play, because I had a dream that you got hit by a car while you was out playing and riding on your bike, and you got killed. And so, me being a kid, of course, I didn't really think much of it. I was like, well, that's a terrible dream. But, you know, at the time, I really didn't, you know, focus that much on dreams or their meanings. You know, so I told her I would be careful. You know, I ate my cereal and waited on my brother. We walked up the street. We rode our bikes up the street to his friend's house. And there we played a Street Fighter. We played a couple other games on the Sega Genesis. We played basketball in the backyard. We had a pretty good time up there. And it was getting around noontime, and we were getting ready to leave. And I got on my bike, and I started out towards the street from his friend's front yard. I started rolling out into the street, and this lady comes down the street in her vehicle going at least 30 to 35 miles an hour, like in the neighborhood area. Which, you know, in neighborhood you're supposed to go, what, like 10 at the most 10 miles per hour. But, you know, she was up there in the 30 to 35 mile an hour range. Now, I roll out into the street, and before I know it, to my left, this car is barreling down, and surely enough, the car hits me. And I go, according to my older brother, I go flying down the street. Like, I roll off the front of the windshield, and then I go flying down the street. And I landed on the street about, according to him, was about, 5 yards down the street. The car hit me pretty good, broke my ankle, and according to the doctors, when I landed on the, when I hit the street, when I hit the pavement, my head hit a rock, and the rock kind of like engraved itself in my head. Like it was embedded in my head. And all I can remember after I got hit, all I can remember was I came to for a short stint, and my older brother was trying to get me to stand up and walk home. And he was asking me, could I put weight on my leg and stuff like that. And at the time, he helped me get up. I was using him to lean on. He helped me get up. I tried to walk, and the moment I put my foot down, I just hit the ground. I couldn't put any weight on my leg. And so after that, the next thing I remember was getting picked up by some EMS workers and put on this bed and getting rolled into the back of this EMS truck. And the EMS people were asking me my name, so I told them my name. And as they shut the door and the truck started to move, I saw them grabbing some scissors and cutting my shorts. So I was like, I took my hands and I was fighting them every chance I could get. I was fighting them. I was like, no, don't cut my, because those are my favorite pair of shorts, you know. And I was a kid at the time, all right. And so I remember my mom sitting to my right, and I was like, oh, she came, she's here. You know, that kind of calmed me down a bit when I saw her. And she told me, leave them alone, let them do what they have to do. I'll buy you some new shorts. So when she told me that, I nodded, and then, you know, I stopped fighting them on it. And they cut off my shorts, my socks, to look at my ankle and how badly things were damaged. And then after that, they turned around and started asking me some questions, and I began to fade out. When I woke up, I was at the hospital. I was laying on a bed in the hallway, and my mom came up to me and she asked me, did I thank God for saving my life? Because I could have died. But she said, did you thank God for saving you? Because you could have died today. And I shook my head no. And she said, well, you need to thank him because you really could have died today. And you were lucky. You really could have died today. Well, not lucky. You was blessed. And so in my head, and then I nodded, and in my head, you know, I thank God for not letting me die from this car accident, you know. And the next thing I remember from that was the doctor putting that breathing thing on my mouth, and he just said, give me 3 deep breaths. And of course, like usual, before you get to 2, or while at 2, you know, you're out. So I'm out. I wake up, you know, I have to get a cast on my leg. And I was kind of bummed out about it because I didn't want to walk on crutches or anything like that, you know. And mainly because the schools that I grew up in, they had no chill, you know. I guess that's why I kind of feel like the current generation has no backbone, because you say one thing, your hair's out of place, and you know they're trying to run to a safe space and cope, you know. Back then, like, I kid you not, I still had to go to school with a cast on. Now, I had some really good friends, one of which whose name is David. I'm not sure where he is now. But he like carried my books in my book bag while I was on crutches going to school. He carried my books to class along with me. We pretty much had the same classes. And so he offered to carry my book bag and everything. And that was pretty cool. But to continue with the story, yeah, I got picked on for having the cast and things like that. But that's besides the point. You know, that's besides the point. While I was in the hospital, I had to have the cast on for 9 months to let the surgery heal. while I was in the hospital, they actually, to my surprise, they actually rolled out a Nintendo Entertainment System for the kids. They had a little kids area for like kids who were in the hospital, and everyone was playing with toys, Legos, action figures, and the NES system was just there by itself. And the whole time, I'm just like down and out because I don't want to be in the hospital and stuff like that. But when I saw the NES, I kind of perked up, because I was like, hey, this is something I want to play. So that actually motivated me to get up, because the NES, now granted, when it first came along, when I first realized they had an NES, they would actually roll it to my room because I hadn't got the crutches yet. So they would roll it to my room, and I would play the NES all day long while I was in the hospital. And the one game that they had was Dino Riki. And trust me, I played this game like crazy. I played it all day. As long as they would let me have the system in there, I would play it. And again, at the time, like, video games were, I guess, about as frowned upon as comic book enthusiasts were. So if you liked video games, you were a nerd. You were, outside the norm back then. And so I played Dino Riki all day, as long as I could, until it got to the point where it was time for me to, the doctors felt it was time for me to get on my crutches, so that I could get out of the hospital and, continue my healing at home. I didn't want to do that. Of course, I was pretty much admittedly spoiled. Like, no one could get me out of that bed. I was like, look, just give me NES and Dino Riki, and, when the rest of my 9 months are up, I'll be able to leave. And the doctors were like, well, you can't stay here for 9 months. My mom was like, you can't stay here for 9 months. My dad was like, you can't stay here for 9 months. But I was like, doctor said I needed 9 months with the cast. And we don't have Dino Riki at home. So, I'd like to play Dino Riki here. And, when they wouldn't, basically what they did was they tried some psychological tricks. Basically what they did was they were like, okay, we can't roll the NES in here to your room, but it is down the hall in the play area. If you get your crutches and you really want to play Dino Riki, you can get on your crutches and walk down to the playroom, right? Play Dino Riki. And I was just like, no. If you're not going to bring it in here, that's fine. Whatever. And so, the one thing that got me out of my funk was, of course, my older brother. My mom brought my older brother there one night, and she was like, he wants to see, he wants to see you walk. He heard that you can walk on your crutches now. He wants to see how you do it. He wanted to go down to the game room with you and play on the NES. Because again, me and my older brother, we played the NES all the time. Super Spike Volleyball, you name it, any co-op game, you name it, we played it on NES. Contra was one of the big ones, So, at first I was reluctant, but when he actually came and he was like, man, I really want to see, I wanted to see you walk, I wanted to see you get on the crutches and walk. That kind of motivated me to get up and show him, so I got up on my crutches and I walked down to the game room, and of course, they were like, well, you can only play for like 5 minutes or so because it's late, so we'll let you get maybe 1 or 2 games in. So they kind of tricked me, not necessarily my family, but I'm talking about like the hospital with Dino Riki and whatnot, telling me that the system was down the hall And they knew that the play area was going to close soon, but I guess they were just trying to get me to get up, you know. And when I got on my crutches and I saw how happy everyone was, I saw how happy my older brother was and my mom, it kind of lifted my spirits. And so I began to use the crutches to the point where they were like, yeah, you're going to be fine. Come back in about, 5 or 6 months and we'll cut the cast off. And so I was like, so are we going home? And they said, yeah, you're going home. And I was like, don't get me wrong, I was happy, but I was like, what about Dino Riki? And so of course the hospital was not going to let me take the game home. But when I got home, we went to Blockbuster. If you don't know Blockbuster, look it up. Went to Blockbuster and we bought a copy of Dino Riki. And I played Dino Riki until, I think it was, I forgot which game it was that came out after that, but that's besides the point. Dino Riki was the game that carried me through my surgery and my recovery as a kid. And by the way, I have no idea who the lady was that hit me. My family members know. My mom knew before she passed away. Well, she still never told me. All she told me was that you don't need to worry about that. And I've always wondered where they were, who they were, mainly because I just wanted to tell them that I had no hard feelings. I never harbored any hard feelings at all whatsoever to them. But yeah, I have no idea who it is. To this day, I still don't know who it is. And it's probably that way for a reason. God probably has it that way for a reason. But here's the most interesting part of this story. As I got older, way older, to the point where now I'm working, self-sustaining, functioning member of society, got my own 9 to 5, living comfortably and everything like that. I'm going to church. I've been going to, because my dad, he was pastoring of a church. Before he passed away, he was pastor of a church, senior bishop and all of that. And so I attended his church, still do to this day. I attend the church now. But when my mom was alive, she would testify about how all of us, me and all of my siblings, could have died at birth, had complications at birth, but we all turned out to be very great, no issues or anything like that. And she testified at one Sunday. She testified about the time I got hit when I was a kid, and she testified about how she was out shopping and she got a call that I had been hit by a car. And she always made a note to say, I should have asked God, I should have prayed and asked God not to let you get hit rather than not to let you die, because I prayed and asked him not to let you die, and you didn't die, but you still got hit anyway, and it clicked when I heard that testimony. It clicked in me that she said she got a call that I had been hit by a car. So I'm sitting here thinking, how does she get a call? Because I was right down the street from the house. How does she get a call that I got hit and then get to the ambulance van so quickly? So after service, I went over to her and asked, I said, were you in the ambulance van with me? Weren't you in the van with me when I went to the hospital? And she said, no, I wasn't with you. I got a call after you got to the hospital. I got called and told that you got hit by a car. And I'm just sitting here scratching my head like, then who was that in the van with me? Because I saw you in the van. You were the one that told me to stop fighting them when they were trying to cut my clothes. and that you would buy me more shorts. And she said, I don't know, but it wasn't me. And she said it must have been an angel because I certainly was not there. And I was just like, what? I promise you, as sure as I am living today, whoever it was, me personally, I believe it was an angel, like she said. But there was a being right there sitting next to me in that EMS van, and it was in the form of my mom, had the same voice as my mom, looked exactly like my mom. And she had told me to calm down and let them do what they have to do. I'll buy you some more clothes. And that's the only thing that calmed me down in that van. So I was just like, if it was not you, then who was it? So I believe personally it was an angel. And it was sent in the form of my mother because God knew that was one way to calm me down. And if he'd have sent an angel in their actual form, that probably would have caused me to pass out or, worse. But in the form of my mom as a kid, that's the story of how Dino Riki, because I will always have a place in my collection, in my top 5 or whatever, for Dino Riki, because that game carried me through a time in my life that was, I will not say horrible, but it was an unfortunate time in my life. So there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you want to check Dino Riki out, I mean, there's plenty of ways to do so. It's a shoot 'em up, and it's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, in this video, I did not get to show you the ultimate power-up. But, yeah, check it out for yourself. It's a really cool game. And hope you guys enjoyed the story as well. Trust me, it is not made up. It is definitely a true story. Whether you believe it or not is irrelevant because it happened. And yeah, until next time, you guys know what to do. Stay blessed.